The NBA draft recently passed, and with many young players getting drafted into the NBA, a lot more people around the world's dreams of making it to the NBA have died. But the saying goes, where one door opens, another door closes. NBA YouTubers are comprised of people whose NBA dreams died, but have found the opportunity to take their talents to YouTube to create content with players around the same ability level. Hypothetically, if we were to amplify these YouTubers' abilities to an NBA level, which NBA teams could use them in the draft, and which teams would actually draft them? To keep it simple, this is the format. We're only going to do lottery. It's the original draft order from the 2022 NBA draft, and finally, it's not necessarily who's the best prospect or player, but more who is the best player for the NBA team drafting, essentially who fits best for the team. With the first pick in the 2022 NBA YouTuber draft, the Orlando Magic select Christopher London, aka LSK. We all know LSK's appeal, his 6'10" height, but to go along that is his shot creation ability, his ability to space the floor while also being able to play down in the low post, or drive to the rim with a creative handle that provides him the scoring versatility needed in the current NBA. He can also slide his feet with guards and send back shots from almost all positions. The only glaring weakness in this game is his defensive motor or his injury proneness. He's not physically imposing, but his relative strength is impressive. I've seen him playing like Kristaps Porzingis. His comparison was either Kristaps or Kevin Durant, but I don't believe LSK has the handles or the creativity to meet the levels of KD. But being able to score on all levels with variety, as well as having higher defensive potential than Kevin Durant, is similar to Kristaps' prime on the Knicks. Also, the Magic selected Paolo Banchero, who excluding his NBA-ready frame, is similar to player to LSK already.
Pick in the 2022 NBA Draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select
Devin Williams from Devin in the lap. OKC already has a pretty good point guard in Josh Giddey, so selecting another point guard seems contradictory. However, the fit between Shea and Josh Giddey has been called into question many times. They're both scoring threats from the inside who struggle with a consistent outside shot. Josh's playmaking and rebounding is all that differentiates them. Adding depth to this team would provide a team with an equally effective playmaker and an exceptional ball handler to the effect of Kyrie. Dev's ability to create his own shot damn near anywhere on the court would significantly improve the spacing on the court, as well as aiding the team by improving the ball movement. On the other end of the court, Dev is elite at guarding guards, generally staying tight in front of them and not allowing them any breathing room, usually resulting in a steal. In 5-on-5 games, he consistently gets his teammates involved early, but we all know that he has the ability to take over if need be. It's not a coincidence that his comparison is Chris Paul, as he affects the game in every aspect and improves the people around him. He might not do what Chris Paul did with OKC in one season, but his addition would be needed and overall beneficial to the team's success, even if that means getting rid of Giddey. With the third pick in the NBA draft, the Houston Rockets will take Chris White from the Hooligan squad.
Too small. Your mouth, boy!
Now, I personally don't believe he's the best player in this draft at this position, but his fit for the team would work nicely. Standing around 6'5" with a stocky frame, he's surprisingly agile and has a good balance between playing like a guard and playing like a big, although he does prefer to play in the low post like a big. His agility also comes into play on the defensive end, where he can shift his feet fast enough to keep up with smaller guards. The fourth pick in the draft goes to the Sacramento Kings, and it was a toss-up between Devontae Frigga, A. Millie, and Filet. Ultimately, the decision I came to was a decision I best believe fits the Kings organization, which was Bobby Cinco, the 6'7" freakishly athletic 3-level scorer. It seems that the Kings have gone all in on De'Aaron Fox, so to complement him, DeMontis Sabonis, and David Mitchell, you can slide Bobby in at 2 or the 3. Bobby has a shot creation ability and length to get a shot off anywhere on the court. As well as being uber athletic, it's easy for him to rise up and draw fouls at the rim or put someone on a poster. Though he can stand on the put on some more muscle, he is still well conditioned and compared nicely as a scoring threat to alleviate tension from De'Aaron, as well as providing some solid off-ball scoring. I believe he can become a critical defensive anchor for the team by improving his lateral quickness and defensive timing. Even though he compared himself to OG Anunoby on a podcast, I believe his ceiling could be that of Anthony Edwards. With the 5th pick in the 2022 NBA YouTuber draft, the Detroit Pistons select Duke Dennis from AMP. Duke is a 6'3" guard of solid ball handling skills and shot creation ability. He's naturally uber athletic and has yet to scratch the surface of his potential. Duke also puts in effort on the defensive end. His timing alongside his natural ability and strength allows him to stay in front of his defender and recover if they somehow manage to beat him. The main problem with Duke is that he doesn't excel in one tangible aspect of the game. Yes, he is extremely athletic, but his athleticism alone doesn't make him shine in any one specific aspect. His decision making on 3-point shot could also improve. He takes a lot of overly difficult shots and shoots off the dribble at a high volume when he doesn't need to. However, assuming everything goes right for him, I could see him becoming a prime Derrick Rose or a smaller Kawhi Leonard. With the 6th pick in the draft, the Pacers select Sol Illuminati.
Murder Soul in the building.
Sol is one of the coldest basketball YouTubers. On the offensive end, he can put the ball in the hoop by any means possible. He's a very patient player, quick and athletic enough to find his way to his spots. His frame, though lengthy, is very skinny and frail. He can get bumped off by stronger players and forced to counter. He also struggles on the defensive end sometimes. Also his personality. Though he's entertaining, some things he says can be interpreted in a negative way. This could likely cause problems with the organisation, the fans, and possibly teammates depending on his recklessness. He's unfiltered in terms of saying what he thinks, which could cause problems. He plays like a prime Carmelo Anthony, had a jabs and pump fakes until he finds a shot that he likes, and if the defender manages to cover that shot, he'll counter to another. With the 7th pick in the draft, the Portland Trailblazers select Jeremy Jones. In the Trailblazers situation, they're stuck in no man's land. The aim appears to be loyal to the organisation, but every year becomes disgruntled and trade rumours start to rise up. Adding J. Jones makes him a piece where he would complement Dame nicely, but if Dame was to leave, they'd still be in a good position to build around Jeremy. Jeremy has a strong and athletic frame. This makes him an elite defender as he's quick enough to stay in front of guards, yet has fast enough hands to rip the ball from them as well. Along with his athleticism and NBA ready frame, he's already a great although somewhat limited shot creator. His height makes him rise higher than most in his jump shot, but within the arc he's not missing. His Hall of Fame mid-range deadeye is no joke, and it's almost impossible to contest his shot. Even significantly taller players can't do it, and he can religiously get to his shot as his handles are tight and controlled. Above all else, his humility makes him an asset to most NBA teams. He's a team player and allows his teammates to get going, but knows when to take over and do what needs to be done. His height does leave him as a liability to most positions excluding guards, and his spacing needs work as free ball wouldn't be up to par for someone his height in the NBA. He could also improve his creativity on ball, as he can get predictable, but since he's already such an established player, he has low potential. He could be a what you see is what you get type player, but this mainly means he has a higher floor. He plays like Gary Payton, where his main appeal is his defense, but he provides a lot more on the court. With his high motor, I could see him winning Defensive Player of the Year on hustle stats alone. The 8th pick belongs to New Orleans Pelicans, and they're going to select Austin Mills aka A. Millie. This pick was originally Bobby Cinco, but after realising he's a better fit for the Kings in comparison to their skill levels, swapping them only felt natural. And personally I think this is a better fit anyway. The 6'1" guard A. Millie, who played at Florida, would fit nicely next to Bradley Beal, CJ McCollum and Zion Williamson. He'd likely be a piece to take them over the edge and take them to new heights. Mr. Millie is a well-conditioned 3-level scorer. To summarize, he's a bucket. He's got handles that allow him to slink around the court like a snake, and paired with his scoring ability, he can make the most difficult of shots consistently. Although he's not quite as athletic as other guards, he puts an effort on the defensive end, and though he's not the most effective, he could contribute to the Pelicans. Paired alongside Zion, McCollum and Ingram, they should play a similar style to the Brooklyn Nets but with less defensive issues. And with that, his NBA comparison is Kyrie Irving due to his ability to make all manner of shots while being average in most other areas. The 9th pick goes to the San Antonio Spurs, and to pair alongside DeJounte Murray, I put Cash Nasty. Cash has developed a negative reputation in the community for his style of play. His main attraction is his defense. However, because YouTube basketball doesn't have any refs, Cash, as far as we know, hasn't played any organised basketball and hasn't developed any fouling discipline. As well as having overwhelming strength in comparison to his peers, when he uses this to his advantage, it comes off in the form of uncalled offensive fouls. Cash's strength in the draft lies in his potential. He has a good build and hustle to match. Him putting 100% effort into all his games doesn't immediately make him effective, but with development, he can be a useful asset. We can't forget the aforementioned lack of fouling discipline, but Cash is still fundamentally sound on defense, he's just over-aggressive. He has quick hands and the strength to keep offensive players from getting where they want to go. It's simply his overzealousness that gets the better of him. He's also athletic for his size and stature. With time, he could play like his idol LeBron minus the playmaking, but as of right now, his comparison would be Patrick Beverley. He's an extremely limited offensive player, but a defensive anchor and energy player for the team. The 10th pick is the Washington Wizards, and with this pick, I was planning ahead for Bradley Beal's departure, so I decided to select AJ LePray. AJ provides a basis not just for a team to build around, should he elevate to a level, but he can also slot into any system similar to a Klay Thompson. He's basically the stereotypical white player. He has good decision making and a long frame to go with it. He falls short on the defensive end as he's not good laterally and doesn't have the hand speed to consistently rip players. His main issue is that if he isn't being an effective shooter, he isn't effective on the court. His NBA comparison is Kyle Korver. An unlikely pick for the next one. With the 11th pick, the Knicks select Chris Nextdoor.
Chris Nextdoor, your kneecap university, point guard.
He uploaded his first video recently, so that's enough to qualify for this. Chris Nextdoor is a slightly taller version of Jeremy Jones. He's a high motor mid-range specialist with an extremely athletic build and NBA ready. He struggles a bit on the perimeter, but he's a winning playmaker, so next to Julius Randle and Emmanuel quickly, spacing shouldn't be a major issue. Chris has suffered 2 major injuries on both his knees, so his health isn't questioned, but aside from that, he's a winning team player and a good energy guy, with a similar playstyle to DeMar DeRozan. OKC with the second pick in this draft are selecting Tristan Jazz. Like many others on this list, he's a primary scorer, being able to score in a variety of manner on all 3 levels. He loves going off the dribble by using the creative ball handling ability to keep the defender on his toes. He finishes like Kyrie while shooting deep from Zach LaVine, but where he stands out is he's also a great playmaker. In college he averaged 7 assists while also scoring 22 points. His main concerns are his physical stats. He's undersized, underweight with questionable athleticism. He has the skill to go a lot higher in this draft, but his physicals are holding him back, similar to his comparison Isaiah Thomas. On OKC, I see him being a secondary scorer to Shea. He can also pair up with players like Dev, being able to find each other on the perimeter while also getting the team involved. With the 13th pick, the Hornets need a front court player who can slot nicely next to LaMelo and the young core. So the only choice I could think of was Chris Staples. He's uber athletic with a consistent outside shot. While standing at 6'3" with a good frame and a 44-inch vertical, placed beside LaMelo, he'd be a good backdoor threat. And because they're both prominent slashers, if either of them are found on the perimeter, they'll be able to knock it down. He doesn't have the ball handling or the creative dribbling ability to consistently get a shot off by himself, without relying purely on his athleticism. And he doesn't affect the game heavily in other aspects, so I see him similar to Blake Griffin. Finally, with the final pick of the lottery, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Cam Wilder. Cam theoretically is a high floor player, a long player with great floor spacing abilities and a decent amount of athleticism. He can take players off the dribble or simply spot up and shoot. Though he can't create space like Dev, he'll still manage to take slivers of space from the defense and take that as an open shot. The problem with him is he loves to take difficult shots, even when unnecessary. His decision making can be called into question at times. He'll either take really difficult shots when he's getting locked down instead of passing it off, or he'll try to drive in and take a foul, where he doesn't have the strength to commit to the drive or the quickness to blow by defenders before they catch up. On the Cavs, theoretically he'll be playing next to Darius Garland. He can find better shots, especially since Garland's spacing has got a lot better. Hopefully he'll find better shots since Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, provided he stays, take up the scoring attention. On the defensive end, he needs help even though he's not the worst. Playing next to Evan Mobley could theoretically allow him to relax on that side of the ball, but it could ruin the defensive flow if they have to consistently scramble due to Cam's wrongdoings. His comparison, and final comparison of this video, is a former Cavalier himself, Kevin Porter Jr., with a hint of Cam Reddish, a player whose main focus is providing the team with more scoring off the ball and on the ball, with potential to improve in other areas. And with that, the video is over. What do you think of these draft selections? I will say a lot of teams need better front courts, and YouTubers don't really offer that. They really cap out at a certain size. Do you think I made any mistakes, and who do you think should have been drafted in there instead? If you like the video, like the video. If you don't. Subscribe if you want. I'm done. Okay, bye.